Greetings, comic book friends. It is Wednesday time, therefore, it is time for a TGIW. Thank God it is Wednesday, new comic book day. We had a good week this week, I think. I'm pretty excited about nearly everything. I am excited about everything. You know what? I am. Even the stuff that I'm concerned about, I'm excited about reading. Let's start with those. Let's start with the concerning books. So, no surprise, the number one concerning book is our Banner of War Alpha. I have been very vocal about my thoughts on Donny Cates, and in particular his Thor and Hulk run that is going on now. This is his crossover event that is all about him and his two books and what he wants to do, and he is the best in his mind. We'll see. I've struggled with Thor for a while. I was fine at first. There was some good stuff. I've struggled with his current Hulk since the beginning. I told myself that I'd hang on to both through Banner of War to see where it goes. It's Banner, like Bruce Banner. You get it? Donny Cates, you're so... Man, the smartest comic book writer alive. Must be. I'll see how this goes, and then from there I'll decide what I want to do with Hulk and Thor. They very may well be dropped. We'll see. But I am excited to read it. It could be interesting if it breaks away from the dumb stuff that's going on in Thor and the dumb stuff that's going on in Hulk, and it's just Thor-Hulk stuff. Maybe it'll be fine. I'm trying to be optimistic, but we'll see. The other thing that I am worried about is crossover number 13. So, crossover has been telling this story leading up to some end of this story, it seems. I was talking to one of my friends in one of my comic shops who has also been reading crossover, and the first thing they told me about it is there's more. It's not done. I had thought that it was going to be done after it got done telling the story. Apparently, this issue wraps up this first story, but there is going to be more. This may get dropped as well, depending upon how this wraps up. It's too much. You know what? This was not intention, but my two concerning books, they were both Kate's books. So if that tells you anything. I was happy to stick with this book for around this 12 to 13 issues, which is what I figured it'd be. And then that would be it. He told his crossover story. He told his comic book characters in the real world story. Apparently it's going to keep going. I don't know if I can stay on board for it. It's probably should have just ended and wrapped up. There's not enough investment in characters in here for it to keep going, in my opinion. The most interesting thing about this book, I mean, the general concept is fine. It's all been, it's Kate's wow factor, right? It's what he does. He just looks for those wow factor, those moments. But what strings them together isn't necessarily good, right? Wow, Mjolnir, or spoiler alert here, by the way, for God of Hammers. God of Hammers is Mjolnir. There's something living in Mjolnir. Oh, wow. The stuff, aside from that being dumb, it was meant to be this, oh, whoa, super cool sort of moment. Everything around it, though, was kind of dumb. This Hulk thing is like, whoa, Hulk is a spaceship, which I guess in his mind thought it was a cool wow moment. It is also dumb, but everything around it That's what crossover is. It's, oh whoa, here's he's showing up in his own book. Oh whoa, here's Madman. Oh whoa, and the story is fine. The story is fine, but the only thing that it's the story is secondary to all these wow moments that he wants to put in readers' faces, and I'm done. I'm done with it. It's exhausting, and I'm tired of falling for this continually reading stuff because it gets me excited that this new thing, this cool thing that pops up is actually going to mean something and turn into something cool, but it's not. It's all that it ever is. It's, well, this thing happened. But the rest of everything is just kind of okay. You're done, Cates. You're done. Everything else I'm legitimately excited for. Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 11. I believe this arc feels like it's kind of wrapping up these created superheroes that are working for this country, and Luthor's in there. Of course, it's a really great story. I think, if I remember correctly, there's something going on, some question about his boyfriend, who is one of these modified superheroes that we have to kind of find out. But it's good. Nottingham, number 7. When this was coming out at all, I kept saying this is great. It is great. It continues to be great. If you can get your hand on a collection of the first arc, probably 1 through 5, I highly suggest it. You don't necessarily need to read it in individual issues. They are fairly little print run because they're Mad Cave books. It's hard to just find them off the shelf without actually having pre-ordered them. But you can probably order the collections of them, and it is totally worth reading. Really, really good. Nocterra, things are starting to really get interesting in this. Not that they weren't interesting before. This has been a solid book all the way through. But stuff is really starting to sort of come to a head. The big bad guy who we thought was sort of the big bad guy of the story, Blacktop Bill, is actually kind of now on their side ish. So there's some twists and turns along the way, and it's just a really good book. I highly suggest it. Its Image is probably really easy to go ahead and pick these up to find these. And again, the first trade at least should be out there to get caught up. A new bunny mask. So this is to me, this is kind of like Maniac of New York, right? Where each arc is starting off with a new limited series, but it really is just I am subscribed to Maniac of New York. I am subscribed to Bunny Mask. Whenever a new arc comes out, which in this case is the form of a limited series, I pick it up because I really enjoyed the first one. In the case of Maniac of New York, the first 2. But I really enjoyed the first Bunny Mask, so yeah, give me more. I'm excited. I like it. What Aftershock is doing with these kinds of books by having them be these individual limited series, I don't know if I'm a big fan of that. I suppose it kind of depends. So I think of Maniac of New York, and there was Maniac of New York, and then there was Maniac of New York, Bronx is Burning, which was a continuation of the first, but it was definitely its own story. Could that have been just part of an ongoing, where it's like the next arc? It probably would have been a little bit easier to handle, probably for comic shops to be just like, I'm subscribed to this ongoing, instead of them having to keep add limited series and hope that they don't miss one. In case of Maniac of New York, the 2 stories were kind of separate enough where I guess you had to assume there was amount of time that passed between them. I get it, but I think I'd just rather see them as an ongoing with... And if you want to put, it's not rare, right, for an ongoing to put the name of the arc on the cover. Just do that. This should be Bunny Mask number 5, The Hollow Inside. It's okay. It's all right. We'll get it. But yeah, But anyway, I mean, if it's good, it's good. The numbering aside and volumes aside, or whatever they decide to do, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna read them, and it's not gonna change what's on the inside. I just think it would be a little easier to manage both for the collector and for the shops if they were just one series, one ongoing series. But they didn't ask my opinion on those in those meetings. So there were two other things that I picked up. This is obvious. Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood. I'm gonna get this. The Black, White, and Blood stuff, I think, has been, from what I've seen, has been okay. I like the idea. It has a very artistic vibe to it. The first one, I think, was, Wolverine, and I picked that up. I didn't pick up the Carnage because I don't care about Carnage. There was an Elektra one, which I don't think that I got. But Moon Knight, yeah. And it's we know why this is out, because the show was out, and Moon Knight is super hot right now. If it wasn't for that, this book wouldn't exist, which is fine. I mean, if we get more Moon Knight in the books, and he is one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time, that's great. That's good. So I'm happy to have this, but let's not fool ourselves. Let's be thankful for our MCU and whatever other opinions or negative aspects about the industry it has brought out. There is some good that comes from it as far as the print comic books come. And I could probably talk ad nauseum about my thoughts on the MCU and what it's done to the industry, for good or for better or for worse. But without that, we probably would not have this, and for that I'm thankful. I'm excited to read that. And then I also picked up Grimm #1, because of course I did, because I'm me. The cover was intriguing. It's Boom. It was a #1. If I like it enough, this is probably going to be a wait for trade, unless it's really, really, really good. Then I can't wait for the second issue, or I can't wait for the trade to keep reading it. But I am trying to read some more stuff in trade format where it makes sense. But I will get the #1 to see to try it out first. So we'll see how it goes. If I like it, and if it's completely mind blowing and outstanding, then I'll pick it up as a monthly series. Otherwise, I'll just wait for the trades. Speaking of reading things in trades, I've gotten a little bit behind on some of the stuff that I do read in trade, so I picked up a couple of trades for that. Monstrous #6. I don't know when this came out, but I apparently missed it. It's a very interesting story. The art is beautiful. I think the art is what really sold me on it when I first started reading it. But it is a fun fantasy story, and it definitely reads very well in trade. So I'm glad that I have been reading in trade. But it had been a while since I picked up a Monstrous, so I picked that up. And also Manifest Destiny #7. Manifest Destiny is it's so good. It's so good. It's so much fun. If you haven't read it, I highly suggest at least picking up that first volume. I can't imagine you won't be hooked and want to get the rest. And it reads very well in trades, and none of them are out of print. You can get all of them very, very easily. But it is definitely, I think, for anyone who reads a bunch of comics, I would probably suggest it to someone who maybe actually doesn't read a lot of comics. It's kind of because it's very much stands on its own, and it's not superhero-y. So I think it's good for them. I think it's also good for someone who just really, 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 really likes these sort of standalone titles, who's really into comics. It's very, very good. But basically, everybody should read this. It's very good. And, unless you just don't have the money or the time, I understand. You can't read everything, but if there is a little bit of room in your reading ledger, then you could do worse than Manifest Destiny, for sure. Let's see, and that's it. So a nice week. A total of 8 books is all. with one number one, which probably will not continue. It will, if anything, it will be converted to trades. This number one is a limited. There's no way I can say no to this. This is not my fault. And the rest were things that were just already subscribed to, and there were only 6 of those. So another nice light week, which I definitely appreciate. So yeah, overall a good week. I'm excited to read everything, even the stuff that I'm kind of like weary about. And the reason I'm worried about them is that after reading these, I may decide to drop, in this case, up to 3 titles. And that's fine. Maybe it's for the best, but historically speaking, I have a very, very, very difficult time dropping titles. It's just, most of the time when I stop reading something is because it just ends. A series ends or whatever. Very, very rarely do I drop something that is not ended. Maybe something will end and then pick back up with a new number one, and I won't pick up that new number one. But if I've been on something since number one and it's still going, I have a very hard time of dropping it mid run. It's just a thing. I don't know. It's on me. It's a weird me thing. But there are 3 books here that have that potential. So we'll see. And I don't want to. I want to enjoy Thor. I really want to enjoy Hulk. I love the Incredible Hulk, as you all know. This one just should be over, period. Like, there's no reason for this to go on, except for it seems like vanity. And I don't know if I want to support that. So that is it. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you got. I had a lot of opinions here. Let me know what you think. What did you get this week? What are you excited about? How do you feel, if you read crossover, how do you feel about it not being over? What are your thoughts on Banner of War or anything else that came up? Just let me know in the comments, and like and subscribe and do all that stuff. And of course, don't forget to make yours Titan. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.